While we waiting for the student, maybe
Yeah.
we can start the lecture. I
Okay.
will give you the make you house with a more.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I've already. Okay. So I'm just gonna do the sharing. Okay. Here we go. You can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good, good. We're coming to the third part of our the employee recruitment, selection, and placement today. And so, well, just like what we have done before, I would like to ask all of you guys, do you think recruiting is important? Okay. Do you guys think recruiting is important as in a company? Anybody? Yeah. Okay. And if you do think recruiting is important, why do you think it's important? Okay, and that's something, and which part is, if you understand the whole recruiting process, which part do you think is most important? Okay, and that it's very important to consider as well. So, well, recruiting is important because it means that the company are, continuously try to get a new, blood we call, or, someone who is newcomer to dedicate it and work together for the company to achieve the goal. But just which part is more important? Because we said, I think we need to select the right people, right? But how do we get the right people? And that's what we're going to focus on today. So superior talents, meaning that someone who with a super, good or intelligent, okay, capability that there is a research actually say that if you hire someone who with lots of talent, and usually it will save the company many effort, or company will achieve greater efficiency. And that's what the research literally says. But why they are aiming for superior talents nowadays? Okay, it's not just talent you have, but superior, and what type of superior that they're referring. If you're looking at this bar graph here, we notice that the job complexity is actually getting more and more complex. Okay, and you look at right here that there are lots of jobs that require quite a bit, or is a very complex job. So it's not as what we saw before, that we are trying to be specialized with certain areas of the work that must be done, but rather it's actually, interact with each other, as a result that you do need the job itself gets more complex. But unfortunately, a lot of the people right now, they aren't exactly able to I guess achieve that, or handling the high level of complexity. Okay, and so if you look at here, very high complexity job, but then the performance, the productivity here aren't exactly very high. And so what does recruit mean then? So it all goes down to, again, in the beginning, I say, is recruitment very important? Yes. But then, which part? And so it goes down to what recruitment really asking for. The recruitment is to find the right person, but how can we attract those right peoples? And here we are going through the recruitment process, meaning attracting people, getting people to come and to apply for the job, and shortlisting, selecting, and appointing. Okay, so though these ones are these, four words, I would say, represents the four stage that recruitment will be going through. And I think a lot of company nowadays are hiring for certain type of job, but why are they having a tough time to hire? And in the old time, it will be probably not getting the right person, but now it may be not even enough applicants. But then also depends on the level of job. Some jobs there's just a lot of people are applying, but some jobs you don't get anybody to apply. So attracting becomes, in the old time, attracting may not be quite important, or may not be a difficulty for the company. But now they start realize that it can be a problem now. And so how do they try to get enough people to come and then to know your company, and then to evaluate whether they are suitable for that particular job. So and then also the another part of recruitment is to screen out. Okay, so it is a little troublesome if you don't have enough applicant, but then if you have lots of applicant, that's another headache, right? Because we need to screen out. So how do you screen out unsuitable candidates? Okay, and that's another issue that the company needs to deal with. So effective recruiting is not easy. Okay. And in fact, we need to find some method to recruit, um, and also to deal with some of the non-recruit issue. In this case, we're talking about reputation of the company. People, when they try to apply for some job, they probably look at the company's, reputation, or meaning if they are well treated, if they treat their employee well enough, if the job is safe, okay, etc., or if it's a famous company, etc., right? So those ones are not exactly the recruitment issue we're facing, but rather intangible assets that company, if they any company they have it, then it will be easier for them to find a right people, or at least lots of people to apply for. Okay, and also the employment law. Okay, and well, so it all goes down to the lines and the staff management manager that they need to work hand in hand, especially for the employee law, because a lot of time when you're setting out the specification, or later on when people are coming into your company for the interview, you need to tell them pretty much quite clear about what they the important issue for them to be able to understand when they come to that particular job, and especially if it regards to the safety, occupational safety, or and special type of shift work that they need to do, etc. Okay, so the key principle here is to, like I said earlier, let me use this pen so it's easier on me, that having the right person, right place, and right capability, okay, and the right time. Okay, so all those, okay, will be coming to the recruitment process. So first, we need to identify, again, this, if you recall, this is the strategic human resource part of it we were talking about. Identify what exactly that your future business will be heading towards. Okay, and then remember we did an analysis on the current, or the the job, or the people itself, okay, understanding them, and then we determine the necessary skill. So the skill will be the capability right here, and the competency, as etc. And also, in order to attract the right person, then we will develop a we call policy, and this policy must be coincide or compliance to the government employee law. So the certain for example, in my school or in my workplace, there is a period of time when all the professor teaching job opening, and because they want to attract to a certain group of people, they will have maybe a bonus, or some kind of giving you the first or second years of extra bonus pay and so on, and that will be a very typical of the policy that they were trying to attract to a particular type of professional. Okay, and here, oops. Okay, so here is the steps in the recruitment and selection process, and we've seen the first, the green one, will be trying to build a group of candidates, applicants for us to screen, and then this one will be complete the information for the applicant to complete the informations, and then move to the purple one, move to the selection process. And then lastly, we will be asking some line and staff manager, meaning the supervisor, to go through the interview. Okay, and this process usually, and to come to the final decision. But anyway, I would say that between the screening process and the interview, they kind of work both hand in hand. So it's not exactly just the flow, but it's rather like a circle, because you can have so many stage with different level of people. And it's one thing you can see is as you are, if you are a more suitable candidate, you will go through a higher and higher level of managers that who will be interviewing you, and then eventually, finally, you will see the HR manager that at the end will talk to you about the benefit, what's your expectation, and etc. and all that. So at the lower or the initial screen process, or the faces you will be facing, will most likely be the line manager. They will evaluate you first on your suitability or capability of that particular job. So here, these are the first stage that you say decide on what position, and then build a pool of candidate. And we will be talking about later on how you can build a pool of candidates. Okay, right there. Okay, and selection tour as well. Okay, how do you select? Okay, well, some of you guys probably noticed that, or if you ever have an experience of trying to look for a job, you will if you're going to a big company, they will do some certain written test. That's one way of screening. But then sometimes, okay, you will just get, if you go to a different company, you're probably just going to have a very short and quick interview. And then, it's either you get a job or you don't get a job too. So there is no certain ways of doing, saying that. But the key is that the right person the company wants to hire, and is this a right company that you want to work for? And when we are here is we call a recruiting yield pyramid. Okay, it's like a triangle that we see, but here we looking at the ratio. Okay, and it's very interesting because down here, this is what we call a pool of candidates. Okay, and look at how many new hire. Okay, so this is probably a proportion that we are building up, okay, by the human resource of research over the year, and they found that this proportion will most likely be able to get enough people or hiring not to say the right people, but probably, at least enough people for a certain group of a job. Okay, so let me see. I realize I have the control, so uh, how do I, hold on. I don't really know how to use this yet. Uh, okay, because someone's microphone is not off. Okay, well, I'll just keep on going then. Okay. Okay. So here, okay, here. So if we look at this, this is what we call at the end, this is actually what we call the KPI for how effective you are doing the hiring process. So to measure how many candidates were hired from the total applicant, and here, the first screening, usually normally we need to get enough pool, right? So from 1,200 all the way down to probably we'll want to get a 50 new hire. This is basically a huge percentage. We're talking about probably, 10% or 10% of um, or 20% of the proportion. So for the first round, we have 12,000 and moved to by first screening, we left with just 1/6 of it. So it will be about 200 people then moving up to the second screening process. So this means that sometimes when you are dropping off your resume, and the company will just do a paper screening as to see if you are appropriate. But just what type of characteristics or information that they are looking for, that's something they need to set out at the beginning of this screening process. So they leave with the 200 people, that they do a second screening process. And in that case, usually it will be another level and maybe down to the functional department that to decide on which probably the skills or something they needed or they are suitable. And eventually moving up to the higher rank, you basically left with a little higher portion is like 50-50, but these new hires will probably coming from different, well, assigned to different level, a different type of job. Okay. So the recruiting yield pyramid is actually a historical concept of that, and that it tells the recruiter that just by ideas how many people they should collect before they really find their good uh, before they really find the person they want. Okay, so remember we were saying about we need to get about 1,200 people right there. Okay, that goes to where can we find it? So that just means that the sourcing, right? Where can we find, meaning where can we find the source of the labor, like human resource? And believe or not, there's a lot of company that you know, strongly express over the year that they want to be able to attract the right people at the first time, because they don't want to do extra screening process. So it comes down to what exactly they should go to approach to the right candidate. Because can you imagine if I, just have the job ad spreads out and then lots of different people comes in, and I need to make an effort to screen out the people, right? But what if I just, get a whole bunch of people that have a higher percentage that save a lot of time? So Okay, so sourcing here will be a very important way now to for a company to save a lot of effort, and that goes to two way. One we call internal, and the other one is external. And internal source meaning that I will be hiring or I will be asking my coworker, my employee to refer some people, but also maybe that if I have lots of employees and my job, I am currently not preparing for hiring outside from outside, then the most better ways, is to open up a job position for the internal, okay, internal hiring, something like that. So internal resource meaning that the company is actually looking for the employees who is currently worked in within the company already and they are qualified for working on that job. And that internal opening usually sometimes is particularly for the internal the company, the employees, because a lot of times if that happens, maybe that job skill or that position requires someone who has previous training, okay, within or among different department, having understand better with the company, the operation or whatever, and then that they think that that position is more suitable. And so in that, what are some of the recruitment methods? Okay, what we call promotion. Okay, but while we have promotion, we do have demotion. Okay, and I think demotion within the internal sources are not common unless there is something happening with the employee, him or he, herself. Otherwise, normally, most of the time, uh, company or for very diplomatic way of um, changing or switching people, we will get people to go promotion rather than demotion. Okay, but unless the person is making huge mistakes or whatever, because demotion is something that nobody really like. It usually involved with lower pay, etc. But another one is mostly work with the rotation. Okay, so rotation is particularly on in the horizontal level of the work, usually involved with different function of department at the probably the lower, not lower, but an average level of that. And that's most likely to do. And if you're working with, I think the entrance level of the job, most of time you will work with different, position, job duty already. So it's not, we wouldn't say that as a rotation. So rotation normally happen when you are, a little just more than the entry job, then you will start having the opportunity of going from transferring from one department to the other department, okay, and something like that. And and for the outside source, a lot of time we can go by, for example, connection. Okay, you can, if you know someone in that industry or in that field, then you go and ask them invitation, the oral invitation, verbal invitation to add a person. Okay, that's one type. But then the another type, its most popular way is the job advertisement. Okay, using probably newspaper, magazine, and so on. But even the newspaper now, I don't know, do any of you guys look, well, I well, I don't know, how do you guys find that your job or part-time job? Do you guys find it from the newspaper? Do you still using the newspaper? I don't think so now in Taiwan, because if you opened up and trying to read the newspaper, the job ads It used to be in Taiwan, for example, we have many, many pages, right? And there's always a last page of the whole page, all the job listing. But now this part is gone. Okay, so that just means that the newspaper, the company are making less money on this part of it. Why? Because all replaced by the we call social medias now, right? So I think nowadays people try to find a jobs from the social media instead of, or job platform, some webs, platform and stuff like that, rather than just from the newspaper. But there are still a very tiny little group of people who try to or is so used to look for a job from the newspaper. And if you would like, next time, try to look for those section and then try to analyze or look into what type of job do they offer, what type of job particularly they put it in the newspaper rather than the social media. Okay, it's very obvious that the job characteristics are totally different. Okay, and also the people, the type of people that will look for jobs through this type of tools are quite different too. Okay, um, boldly suggest that sometimes those are the people who are more into older generation who are not familiar with all the internet things that sometimes you need to fill in your information, right? And that you're just not capable of. So those people are in the lower social status parts of your country and my country as well. I noticed that. So people, they still do that. Or maybe it's one type of job that is like, I would just say it's really just a part-time on irregular, like not very routine type of job. And it's totally, we call by geek type of work. Okay. And then that they don't really need to post in the, news, social media to get the people. Okay. And that, so they will probably just use a newspaper instead. Okay, and employee referral is something I mentioned it already. So it is quite often now and quite possible, and most the company would like to use this way is because one, you can if the employee are willing to refer someone who they know to your company, that just means that your company they are satisfied with their current working status, right? And so that's one way to also to get a feedback from how employees think of your company. And also recruitment agency. Okay. And I think for a lot of big company now, they do the recruitment agency. And by that we call headhunter. Okay. There's many way of talking about it or calling, and they're slightly different, so we will talk about it later. But recruitment agency are one type of company that helping the company who needs the hire to do a right job. So these are just one type of a labor service operation right there. And also with the educational institution. And it's very interesting that you will see the recruitment agency. There is currently in our labor forces, there is one type of company that is sprout out. Okay, it's I would say it's a combination of recruitment agency plus the educational institution. I don't know if you know this, or I don't know, Ronald, at your school, do you guys have this type? Because in my school, or in most of the school university in Taiwan, people are working with us with this type of recruitment agency plus educational institution, especially for the foreign student that, they are trying to get a group of people coming from different places. Okay, and then they have a sort of a group and particularly train for some job or working for some, study for some degree. For example, nursing maybe, or now is the semiconductor industry. And so they will be getting the degree related to that. Okay, and then that company, some of them is just one company that hiring maybe 23 or 20 or 30 people or even more on a regular base. So they really need someone to take care of the whole group of people like that. And also the job center right there. Okay, these two are, I would say, by these two meaning the people, getting the job from newspaper and people getting the job from the government center. Okay, because here, I don't know how it works with the country like from Vietnam, or Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore even. But I know a little bit about Singapore, probably different that the government's job center they serve similar like Taiwan too, that they are not just serving as an agency providing the job opening or something like what type of job available, but they actually do the training as well. Okay, so particularly, especially in Taiwan too, even the government job center, they train particular people with certain skill, but then you don't really get any degree. It's nothing like educational institution. It's just they train you, for example, to know uh, how to operate the CNC, the machine, or they train you to know how to do a survey, like measurement of certain things, or they train you to do, for example, textile industry, maybe how to do the dye or how to cut off and certain things like that. So those are very, very, we call vocational type, and that you don't really get anything, but you only get a certification from them, meaning that you did the training and that's it. Okay, so those ones are, so some company, they will look for a job through the social media, like I said. So we can, let's take some time to watch this very quickly, because I think this video are very interesting. It talks about currently how they hire from the social internet, and that if you are actively involved with your Facebook, IG, Instagram, and etc., how you should take care of your own Facebook so that you get someone to approach you and hire. Okay, so I think this is a very interesting one to watch. So let's just take time to watch this. I don't know if you guys can hear, but yeah.
Sorry, Prof. There is no sound here.
Oh, yeah, that's what I thought. So I think, let me see. So when I do the sharing, maybe there is something I need to,
You
oh,
need to
here.
like click include
Yeah,
sound.
exactly. Okay, now I think should be okay. So let me start it again.
We live in an
Is it
Instagram
better?
Okay.
age.
Yes.
Many people post comments and photos daily on social media. If that's you or someone you know, you should know about a new survey.
Yes, 60% of employers say they check a person's social media background before hiring, and what you post could prevent you from getting a job. Pat Foran has the story on Consumer Alert.
The new survey from CareerBuilder found that 60% of employers will not hire someone until they research how they appear on social media sites like Facebook and Twitter. The findings are similar to a recent study by Workopolis, Canada's largest online job board that connects companies and job seekers. Marcia Ford says many people don't realize what they put on the web is often there for everyone to see.
You would be surprised at the number of people who don't put the restrictions high on their Facebook profile, allowing almost anybody to see the details of their social media life.
Workopolis found 63% of companies check social media before hiring, and 48% of companies saw something that caused them not to hire a person. The reasons were posts about excessive drinking or drug use, profanities, racist or sexist comments, suggestive, provocative photos, and negative comments about previous employers.
Once you put something out there, it's very hard to take back. And also, people forget to take it back.
The surveys also found some employers like what they find on social media. It can tip the balance and actually help you get a job. Reasons employers did hire someone after checking Facebook and Twitter included posts about community and charitable work, athletic accomplishments, appearing kind and compassionate, and having a professional image. Ford says whether you're looking for a job or not, always think before you post.
Be professional today. Be mindful of what you're posting, because it will have an impact on your career if you don't.
And many employers are turned off by a person if they look angry in their profile picture. They're more receptive to someone who appears kind and smiling. So a picture is not just worth 1,000 words. It could help you get a job, too.
Okay, well, isn't it interesting? So, well, I don't know how many, well, we do have more students logging now, and I hope you watch this one because that definitely will get into with thinking about maybe I should screen my own FB, what you have posted, right? So 60% of company actually going through your FB, Facebook or IG or any Twitter. I mean, I don't know if you guys use Twitter, but I don't use Twitter, but I do use my Facebook, right? So the Facebook, what have you posted on, guys? Anybody would like to share? Do you post mostly? Sometimes you post on some of your photo, right? You probably think that, well, I don't usually drop any notes, but then I do post my picture. But even the picture, when they're looking at it, it tells everything about you and how people respond to your picture maybe and how you respond back. So it's so true that nowadays the company are looking through your FB and try to get to know your person, who you are. Okay, so isn't it very interesting? So I guess it's time, when this class finish, maybe you want to go on FB and then check it out. Okay. And here, this is another thing. It's a study done by, I think it was the University of India, or well, people from different country, right? But the key here, right here, is talking about they investigate on the social media recruitment impact, especially on how earlier. Remember, we were watching the video talking about how people, the company are looking into hiring by make sure their personality or what they're about with the social media, right? And now the study done by examining, well, just how effective that is. So they did a social media intention, okay? That will be before and after kind of check. So their intention of using that social media. Okay, so they're asking the company, say their intention of looking for a person from the social media, and after they find someone, how will that be different, or how the gap will be. So here, assume the recruiter's intention is to use the social media with many influence on their decision. So they examine what type of characteristic or the people they look for from the social media, what they post on. So they, have the invitation for the applicants or something, and that they the recruitment outcome they expected, do they get what they want just from the social media when they're looking at that candidate? So the candidate may post some picture response stuff, they think that this is that type of person might be, and then they jot down, and of course they try to match with what they are trying to hire, right? And then that's what they expect the benefit from. Okay. And that when they really hire back, like hire in, and then they evaluate whether there is any gap in between. So that's the study done by doing that social media recruitment. Okay. So the credibility and the satisfaction through the social media hiring. Okay, so we were talking about earlier, we were talking about employment agency, right? So agency are usually just trying to fill the job, right, in between two parties, okay, company and hire an employee or job, someone who is working for a job. So basically, there are three different types of. One is we call the public agency, and it's like a government, local government or government. The other one is a private, okay, that's making profit oriented, so we call private. And the other one is what we call the NGO, nonprofit organization. And those nonprofit organizations sometimes, a lot of time, are for the people who are in the lower part of we call social status quote. Okay, and that those ones are in a different level, working at different level, and of course sometimes they deal with different level of job as well. And so with those type of employment agency, despite what we call the public the government part, okay, despite we call the government part and the NGO part, and let's just look at what we call the privately owned agency, because this is the part that a lot of company, if they want to hire someone with to deal with a much higher complexity of job, they normally, and a lot of time, they go for the private agency. And so the private agency, we have three types. We call headhunter, recruiter, and hiring manager. Okay. And the headhunter obviously can be, it can be a person. Okay. And when we referring that, and of course, headhunter also can refer to as a company, headhunter, act as a company. And so what are their differences? The differences is actually with where they work for, or where they work at, who they work for, I would say. So here, that's for the future HR. Okay, if you're interested in being as an HR person, you have different opportunity. One, you can work as a headhunter. The other one, you can work as a recruiter, okay, etc. So here, it will be determined by the company's mission, or how company position or think as the HR should play the role of HR, because by all means that company, some company think HR as just one type of administrative department, right? But then believe or not, 52% of the company, okay, think, or the leaders in that company think that it's the hardest part to do the screening of the candidate. Okay, so that just means, like, it could mean that if you're working as an HR, you are simply a hiring manager. You're not really a recruiter, because recruiter do much more than just that. And headhunter is another different things. So they think that 52%, the toughest job is at, we call the screening, right? And so because it's difficult to check a person's background, right? That involved with their reputation, their personality, and so on. And that's why they go on the social media to find out, right? So the background here, okay, so for the recruiter, or even we call the headhunter, they will be responsible. They are able to take care of that. They will need to know anybody who they refer on that job they will know the background of this person, okay, and what capable of, etc. So the headhunter a lot of time covers the whole thing, okay, starting from getting enough people and then searching for, and etc. And at the end, they will just give the company, say, here you go, that's the person. I'll give you a few, and then you decide on who, but they are qualified. Okay, something like that. So headhunter covers everything. But then if you are the recruiter, okay, that means a different way. Or even if you are a hiring manager, that position, meaning you may need to look for the job, look for the people. Okay, you may need to do the background check. But if you are a hiring manager, you probably can go through different traditional way of just posting and then selecting and so on, can get replaced by some other tools, etc. So let's just look at that. So again, okay, we do see the differences between different tool. Okay, like internet through referral. These ones are advantage and disadvantage of that. And interesting enough, okay, you will see those referral. Okay, internet is something that cannot give you the guarantee of background, right? Check. And that referral sometimes can cover that, right? And the company website obviously cannot guarantee you with the qualification and the background and all those things that other than just the professional requirement, right? And the college recruiting, okay, a lot of time, who is doing the college recruiting? Well, it's the company, the HR department in that particular company, right? They come out and doing the recruit. So they partly responsible for, do they responsible for people who had the background? They need to do the background check. Maybe and maybe not, right? It really depends. They try to find the person who is at least professionally capable, okay, etc. And then, the decruiting, let me just skip this and come back later. But then, during the selection decision, there's usually uh, several situations. Here, okay, the decision of either you accept or reject the person depends on, how successful they are with the job performance, right? So how do we know the job performance? Well, usually by their resume, by their recommendation. Do they provide anybody references and so on? So here we talking about the how reliable or how reliable or suitable for that job candidate depends on the selection process. So interesting is that if you find someone who is the job performance is good and you accept it, great, right? That's what the headhunter often, okay, are responsible for, okay? But with the recruiter, okay, they may not be able to find this part, okay? A lot of time they may try to reduce the error or the risk of getting these two type, okay? Meaning, okay, you find the right person, but somehow during your screening process and so on, you may, reject this good candidate, right? And that's what the hiring manager and recruiter, they're more or less the same in a company. It's just the position that they are different, or it's basically based on the company's strategy, mission, how they view the HR. So it's slightly different. That's it. But they're trying to eliminate anything that happened within this screen area, meaning you find, for example, this person is not qualified, but then you hire it in, right? It costs you a lot of headache, and then then you need to try to send them off. Okay, so so that's what happened with the recruiter in this screening process. Okay, so going back from this recruitment, okay, what happened if it just happened that you find a person in this, not very qualified, but you hired it in? Well, these ones are some type of situation happen when the recruitment can happen. Okay, here, for example, you just directly fire them, but sometimes before this firing, you really fire a person, you need to go through a lot of process. You need to give them enough warning, right? Warning, and then tell them what's wrong, and then you need to give them opportunity to correct, and so on. And if not, you give them how many warning, and then you send them off, and probably you will get their supervisor to come to go and talk to them, do the record and so on, or even sometimes the committee to evaluate the qualification and things like that, and make the decision of firing. Okay, that's a lot of troublesome process. And another one is we call the layoff. Okay, so firing is actually something that is the company initiated just because they don't think that person is what they want now. It's very forceful. Okay, but the layoff in some ways, not exactly. It's due to some other external reason. Okay, maybe the internal reason, for example, the company is not running too well, and that therefore they need to cut down the amount of worker, okay, and so on. So usually it's something, okay, due to the outside, or some unforeseeable reason that they need to do that. Or sometimes it can be a temporary one for the company as well. And it actually happened during the last few years, right? That people, because of the COVID, so people, the company don't have a lot of job or to offer to the worker, and that they need to cut down some expenses. So they do a temporary layoff, and then actually some company even tell them that when the business is getting back, we're going to do a hiring back kind of process, right? So those ones are, layoff. It's more mild. Okay, but to some worker, it can be a permanent. Okay, it really depends. But attrition, attrition is something that is voluntary. So meaning it's the worker who wants to quit the job. So the word quit usually refers from the employee side of it, but firing is more of employer, meaning the company side. So attrition, there are two types. One is during the normal, life cycle, that the person is just old enough now that he or she is qualified for retirement. Okay, so that's one type of attrition. Or the person, the worker, okay, probably move to somewhere else, and that no longer be able to work for your company. Some natural, okay, reason, natural and acceptable, reason. So layoff is different. Layoff is company that has a lot of legit reason, but it's sometimes unpleasant, and transfer, of course, is another way. Some people, for example, like I said, if you come across with accidentally hiring a group of people like this part, one type of way to use is transferring them from job to job, get them, working on different job and level of difficulty or something. Okay, or remember earlier we were talking about rotation, right? Transfer rotation is the same. Or get them to maybe work on just not only one type of job but many. Okay, and then so they feel that they can handle it, and then they will say I quit. Okay, they're waiting for that word, I quit. but normally those type of people a little harder to deal with. So transfer, literally, we do have two ways. Okay, one is laterally, meaning going from the same level, or we go downward. If it's downward, we will say it's a demotion, if you recall. Okay, etc. And or you can reduce the work week. Okay, this is quite common. So before you really, well, some company, okay, unless they really get into a bad situation, they will probably try to reduce work week for the current employees, because hiring back is difficult, because who knows, maybe the worker looking for other better jobs, so they're probably not coming back, right? So then they are short of labor. So unless the situation getting really tough or rough, they will do the layoff. Sometimes, a lot of times, they will reduce the week, okay, as a compromise before they do anything, so they can do the fewer hours a week or share jobs, okay, etc. And or they give good policy to ask anybody who probably just almost retired, so they can have an early retirement. Okay, that's one way too. So job sharing. Okay, here we're talking about job sharing. So job sharing, this job sharing, okay, is people between two full-time workers that share the load, and maybe they change by the work shift, that's one way. But this job sharing can also means from the full-time position to the part-time, okay, having people working as a part-time job. Okay, so something like that. So it's similar, yet it's quite a little different. So it's the status kind of changing. Okay, so and also remember we were talking about sourcing, right? Like how do we get a pull of well, one type of duty, one duty that headquarter or any other, but special, particularly headquarter, headhunter company needs to deal with is getting certain group of people, enough people, right? So how do they do it? They actually do it by similar as if you are HR in a company or recruiter in a company, exactly the same. It's just the company or just outsourcing this part to the headhunter because it's just a lot easier, right? But then they actually do similar things, except I don't think they do. And it's not, I don't think, I'm very sure they don't do the written test. That's not the headhunter style. Okay, but they do try to collect from many applicant form. Okay, the people who are but then they done it in a different way with the company. Is that company they have a certain type of application form that when you come and apply, they ask you to fill in, right? And written test same. But headhunter, they don't really use this, okay, written test, but they do use this application form, but different way. They go to the existing, any of type of platform, the job, bank kind of things, or they go to like more professional, like LinkedIn and so on. And then they look at their job application. Okay, they do that. Okay, rather than having their own set of format, they usually don't get their applicant to fill in with their own set of format, unless it's the applicant that they go approach, the headhunter. Some people, they try to look for a job, they go to the headhunter too, but then usually those people are in a much higher position. For example, if they are one of the GM, general manager, and all of a sudden they they got laid off, they don't have a job, or they want to change their job, so they go privately to the headhunter and tell them what they need. Okay, so that's so the headhunter would not ask them to fill in the application, but they would just have a little interview chat with them and they fill in for them. Okay, something like that. So it's slightly different. And also with interview, of course, okay, and the background investigation, those mainly are for the headhunter that they will definitely do. Then they will ask you about your previous employee experience and who they can refer to if they would like to talk to them and so on. And with the physical examination, this is more if you are hiring in the company already, they will ask you to do the physical examination. They will not, usually they will not ask you from all the applicant unless it's a very special type of job, that require to have make sure the physical examination is done. For example, if it's a mining, if you're working for a mining company and you are literally a miner, okay, then you need to provide that you don't have occupational hazard, impact already, and so on, etc. Okay. And validity and reliability here. Validity and reliability measure our screening process or selection process. And these two done are very difficult, actually, especially if it's done by human being. Okay, meaning literally the recruiter or HR hiring manager, usually hiring manager. Okay, it's hiring, right? It's a little higher, so they will get the employee, the co-worker down, to do the job. So they don't particularly go and look for it themselves because sometimes thousands, right? So they will have someone to done it first, and then at the end, maybe 100 or 50 of them, they will look and then they will validate it. Okay, so that's the final validation sort of process. But these two are quite difficult to achieve. Okay, so now there is, I think people are familiar with AI, right? So AI will do the job. Like, again, okay, we're so afraid of being replaced by the machine, but machine comes in. So look into the differences. I still believe that the artificial intelligence cannot replace even the whole selection process. They can do it by a very technical, meaning the wording, right? The information that the applicant apply, and or even the information that we set out for example, age, but then sometimes we cannot hire the person just because he or she is too old. Okay, that's some government agents, some government policy already, very clearly to state, right? Unless you're like, retirement age, that's another thing. But any other type of job, you cannot set age limits particularly. Okay. But if, for example, administrative work, but if you are something that you need a lot of strength, physical, consumption, physical ability, then you probably need to set a special requirement for that. But then if that's the case, AI can screen out very easily because they can say, okay, well, people who are older than that, who are younger than that, then that's screen off, right? So here, the AI, hey, what they do is of course, there is a set of application information, and that they just screen by text, text mining and so on, and using, we call machine learning to screen off and then leave the final, decision, and we call a short list of those ideal. But ideal candidate, meaning the initial condition that we set out for, right? And for example, we may have a requirement for the job experience, okay? And that, the job experience, retail or banking or even the operator, maybe they require the experience of maybe greater at least, that 1 year or so. Okay, or sometimes no experience is necessary, so this condition then is not an issue, right? And so on. But that's what the AI traditionally can do. And now, what they can do is by picture. Okay, they screen the picture photo that applicant provided, and then they are, somehow they have mechanism, way of working at, whether they would like. Okay, they can tell if the person is sincere enough or just the type of look that they like. If it really depends on different job criteria. So, so that actually save a lot of screening process for the HR. Okay, so they reduce the time spent, but notice that AI really work well with very typical stereotype. So you really need to set out the rule very clear, or even the, I think they can learn by the picture, image processing kind of thing, but just what type of people you like. So the image things, using the image to select certain people, I think it's still a very controversial. But any other, for example, certain type of degree, certain type of knowledge, certain type of, license that they obtain, capability, those are very text oriented. Okay, so they can try to improve the quality of the hiring. So that's just the initial. But what about people are, so these ones are just, by AI, they basically more or less like just like the normal we call recruitment process, except they help human being, the hiring manager or recruiter with the, tedious, okay, tedious job, like going through thousands of applicants. AI do it, and then we just receive whatever AI give it to us, and then we look into more intangible things, okay, things like that. And I think, so using the AI, okay, we face with three type of challenge, and that's even up to now still a challenge. First, okay, is that how accurately they're still facing the issue with accuracy, okay, with the type 1 and type 2 error, meaning hiring the wrong person, okay, and the other one is rejecting the right person. They still have that problem, okay, but that problem really really depends on the type of criteria, prerequisites we set out for, okay. So that all goes back to person, us, human, okay, and also with the bias, okay. Again, you can see all these challenges still falls on us, human being. We have the control. We need to tell AI what to do. AI cannot learn it themselves yet. Okay, so, and also the challenge is that some people still skeptical, like questioning about other things. Okay, for example, this what we call capability. You cannot see the person's capability just through the applicant, the words information, right? Yes, some of the nowadays the newer or up better AI can now maybe screen or text mining with the words that applicant put it into their cover letter or autobiography, right? Explaining what type of person they are, what do they do. But those ones are wording that the person tell them about, right? So yeah, but then even that leaves a lot of so-called a gap, the reality. Are they really like that? So you do somehow need to have an interview, face-to-face communication to that. So so the first generation of AI focus more on the text, written part, and the second type of generation of AI probably using the image selecting, and the third type of AI generation now is the interview. Okay, they use a natural programming language, and then well, I don't think they are able to do the interaction yet, but then somehow they can tell from whether your tone is what they like, your facial expression, are you nervous? All those are the type of learning they're trying to do. And it's scary, okay, because somehow we as a human being are too lazy, or not lazy, but sometimes I think, but then maybe too busy, definitely, that we cannot sit, to really to get to know each applicant one by one, right? And that's what happened. We transfer our knowledge into the AI, and then AI can do all those, help us to share our loading. Okay. But even that, the capability here is something that a lot of people are skeptical about it. Can you really get someone through that? Okay, and we do have less time now, and but then here, this is always the last part I want to share with you guys that, Google, Apple, Microsoft are very famous. I use this famous company when they are doing the interview. And just earlier, in the 2 weeks ago, when I mentioned that Elon Musk, when he was doing his company's hiring, he literally hired people and do the interview one by one himself. But those job position are definitely not the lower level. When the company CEO are doing that, it's more for the upper level of manager that he needs to know those person as a team, right? So he did that one by one interview. But just so this example that I'm giving you are more for the entry or a little upper maybe, but entry level with working for different departments, so on. So these are type of interview question that they usually will ask. Okay, for the time being, it will be listed out, but I'm not going to go through one by one, but I would like to show you the results. I think that's more interesting. And here is, you can refer to this blog, okay, blog for the detail. But let's just go through how people, okay, this is what those people who are looking for a job from these 3 different companies. Okay, and afterward they do a survey about how they feel about their interview. So this is the result between Google, Microsoft, and Facebook. How do those interviewee fields about? Okay, the data are from more than 6,000 employees at these 3 companies. Actually 4 companies. Okay, Amazon even. And it's the survey is a little bit old now, but I think it's still viable because since these 4 companies are still quite big. Okay, and this is the type of question that they ask among all 4 companies. Okay, so the result, number 1, for example, they ask how people rate the interview process overall. So among all those companies, how do they feel about the interview process? Okay, so the answer is, you can see Apple and Microsoft is most satisfying. Okay, and the Facebook, actually, the interview process is the satisfaction is a little bit low. Okay, it's the lowest among all of them. Okay, and and the most, here is the most. Let me see. I cannot. The most and the least. Okay, interview that they think is that the employee at Google. Okay, they think the interview level are very difficult. They're about 19%. So they are actually, Google is the highest, okay, of all. And then the Amazon is the second highest. They think the interview is, the second highest, the difficult ones. Okay, and so on. And so you can see the overall, they really think the Google, the interviewing process is really the level of difficulty are there. And if you go back, referring back to what we were talking about, the complexity of job, and then they're trying to find qualified people with the better performance. And you can see right there, and Google expect, or they know what their employees needs to deal with for what type of job, so that they literally put it up in their interview, just that they want the applicant to know that what type of job or company or that you're dealing with. Okay, so to me, it's no surprise because Google is a challenge company, or if you're working for them, you definitely be challenged all the time, because the job complexity is just very great actually. And okay, and rating by the different department. And here is how various worker rated when they are literally moving to a different department. And they use this, and you can see that for Amazon, okay, who ranked the interviewing process, okay, the highest, and the one that Amazon and the highest one will be the people from, I would say, the seniority will be about 2 to 5 years, and who ranked the interview process the lowest. For that, you can see that Amazon, the people working in Amazon will be the people who are working, again, the tenuity, the less than 1 year, they have the least satisfaction and so on. And and also Apple. Okay, Apple here, who rank the highest will be the department, each department, particularly with the sales department and so on. Okay, and with the Facebook, okay, again, you can see that people who are, if you're working for a company with greater than 2 years, you will see a stability right there. Okay, and then with people who are working less, there is certainly some complaints and so on. Okay, and the Google the same. And with that, you can see the toughest, or the who ranked the, I would say, is the satisfaction here. Sorry, I can not see the title. So I think if the Google, the marketing department give the highest, the ranking right there. Okay, as etc. Okay, so the most popular ways of getting an interview between the Amazon and Google, if we narrow it down, and for the Google, you can see that they will use a recruiter, okay, more or less. And for Amazon, they use the networking. Networking meaning it can be the online, it can be the companies, workers referral, etc. So Google rely more on the recruiter. Recruiter meaning it can be someone individual or headhunter even, or the recruiter from their company that go to the each campus, etc. Okay, and here, so that's the difference. And what about Facebook? Okay, Facebook also do the hiring through the networking because itself is it is a networking platform, right? So that's why not using that more effective. And so with the Microsoft and Apple, it's by the referral. Okay, so you, from all those different way of getting their hiring, okay, you can also tell the culture, the company's culture, and also the characteristic of this company. Okay, it definitely, to me, is definitely both. It works both way. Okay, and so on. Okay, so here the average response. Okay, so they also ask the average response rate. In this case, Google with the highest amount within 1 or 2 weeks, so you will receive your result of your, whatever the level of your interview. So, the first 2 weeks, and this is interesting because 35% for Google. And this is like good or bad news, right? So good news, if you're too impressive, they let you know right away. But if you are definitely not the type they want, they also let you know right away. So I don't know if it's good or not, but definitely it's good that you receive the notification, 1/3 of it, applicant can get their results back within 2 weeks. That's pretty good. Okay, and etc. So for who is the lowest? You can see that will be what? Facebook right here, a month or so later. Okay, and that's quite a bit. So Microsoft right there, we also have like, less people will get, more than a week, but most majority, they get it at the same days. That's quite a bit too. And then again, this one is majority will be 55% within a week. So that's also, okay, it's very good, etc. And then the number of people who interview before, how many times they need to interview before they really get an offer, job offer. And when we were comparing that, Amazon, you get 1 or 2. What about Google and Facebook? Wow, you get at least 4 or 5. This is so true. Okay, because I do have students who work for, who apply for, actually not work for Google, but my niece, actually, he is working for Google in United States. So I forgot to ask him how many times he went through the interview, but definitely not first, not 1 or 2, several level. Okay, and that, yeah, Facebook and Google, they went through so many level of interview just to make sure you are the person that they would like to hire. Okay, and that with this is the culture. Okay, while you are doing the interview process, how you feel about the company's culture, how did the company gives you the feeling of that, the good feeling, of their, what their culture is like. So the answer is 85% of the employee feel that the Facebook, okay, give them the company's culture, that it's good. Okay, good. And but Apple, 50-50, right? So, and the Google, high, but not as high as Facebook, okay, etc. Oops. Okay. So I don't know how much time. Oh, we're almost time, but then
Yeah.
here is, yeah, we will just stop around here. But then this is a clips from the movie that Pursue Happiness. And this part is very interesting. I do like invite you to watch this if you can, because this is an interview that the person, okay, who is expressing himself, the qualification. Obviously, he is under the qualification expectation of those CEO, what they who they expected to be, but how he persuades the CEO to hire him. It's a very good interview, with the humor, okay, that this movie clips show. So we will, I think this is our objectives, and we will stop here. And if you have any questions, you're welcome to ask me. So this is just what we learned today. Okay, so here we go. So I'll give back to you.
Okay, thank you, Professor Angela.
Okay, so I don't know how I can give back to you the control though.
Okay, I already have
Oh, okay, that's
control,
good.
yes,
Okay,
because
great.
I claim become a host.
Okay, great. So I'll just give back to you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any question from the students? Okay, there is no question. I have short questions about the fact that maybe more than 60% uh, about the social media recruitment. Okay, because in Indonesia there is many like do you know flexing phenomena, like
Oh,
a show off and they show the everything is all right. You know that terms, right, of flexing.
Flexim, I know that. It's at a company?
No. It is just like a behavior of the
Oh,
people
yeah.
that
Oh, yeah.
they
The
show
vaccine.
off, yeah, flexing. They show off the good side of the people. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. How company know about that? Because the company use, maybe apply or consider the social media become the means of the recruitment, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Or even advertise for them,
Even
their company.
advertise, yes.
Yeah.
But Indonesia, there is a many flexing phenomena. So, for example, me, I will show the good side of me,
Oh,
yeah, to attract the company, but
yes.
maybe I'm not so good, like that one.
Yes.
There's
Yes.
like a bias, yeah, bias between the actual condition and maybe the expectation of the company.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
your opinion, how to the company, how to solve the problems to decrease, to reduce the bias?
Yes. I think that's what we also call bluffing. You know, they
Oh yeah, bluffing.
bluffing. Yeah,
Yes.
bluffing about what they do, or even, you know, the photos. Well,
Yeah.
some people they you know, the photo, if they looks, you know, the company look so much into the appearance wise because
Yeah.
of the certain job, right? So even the photo and so on, and the accomplishment and so on. So they bluff about. They probably just a participator, one of them, but then they are saying a whole bunch of things, and that's why it's very important for the referral. So, but even the referral and or background check. Okay. Yeah. So if the company is very careful, mindful about, they will do the background check, and sometimes they will ask the applicant to provide the the referral. But then, you know, it is also biased too, because I can have someone, you know, who knows, you know, pretend or whatever, right? So that's why I think the headhunter role comes into part, and more company would like to use that, and even recruiter in the sense that with the educational institution, they just go directly to the campus. Recruiter go to the campus and talk to the department, and then work cooperatively with, you know, the school. So we as teacher, you know, it's sort of like the referral type of, you know, source that they trust better. Yeah. So in that case, they actually reduce the risk of hiring the wrong people, the bias, what you call. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Maybe we can like combine many tools or many means of how to recruit the people, right there.
Oh yeah, yeah. Many tools. Yeah. But I
Yeah.
think down to the end is all about connections. Yeah.
Connection. Okay.
Yeah. 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 I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Any question from the students?
Yeah.
Arya, any question, Arya? Hello. Hello. Fernando.
No question from me, sir.
Any questions?
No.
No. Okay. I think it's very clear.
Okay, that's good.
That's good. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I talk a little bit. I didn't leave any discussion, you know, because online kind of thing. So people are not used to, and, you know, turn on their camera or speaker to just chat, you know. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Rio. Hello, Rio.
Hello, sir.
Yes. Any question?
Personally, I don't have any question for now.
Oh, there's no question. Okay. I think your explanation is very, very clear. So
Yeah.
our student.
Just curious about their Facebook. So I don't know if all of them know that people actually, the company actually look into your Facebook if
Yeah.
they do the hiring, right? So I think that's something everybody should be mindful, when you're putting up anything, your
Mhm.
IG or,
Yeah.
Instagram and FB. I think that's a trend now.
Mhm.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or LinkedIn. you know.
LinkedIn, yeah, LinkedIn.
Yes.
Because I think LinkedIn is better because they are like a referral. We give like a testimony for
Yes. Yeah. So instead of, I think Facebook is more for social life.
yeah.
And company do look on that side because that shows
Mhm.
how easygoing, how you can cooperate and so on. But in terms of professional, they will look into the LinkedIn. So they
Link.
actually look into many social media, not just one. Yeah. So if you and I, like, we've been in a workforce already, and a certain group already, right? And I think we should really, like, just to make sure our credential and everything is uploaded into
Yeah.
like LinkedIn and all those, like always have to keep on updating and so on. Yeah, well, that's only if you want to change to another different places.
Yeah.
Well, to me anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay. I think there is no question more. Thank you so
okay.
much. Before we finish our lecture, be a student, can you open your camera for the take a picture? For taking a picture, please. There are 2 pages. Okay. Okay. For the first page is, wait a moment. 3, 2, 1. Okay. And then the second one. 3, 2, 1. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Professor
You're
Angela. Maybe
welcome.
for Hans, Hans maybe can contact me
Okay.
to manage the schedule with you.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
So Hans,
Okay.
every day Hans go to the lab, right?
Yeah, I think so. I
I
think
think
so
so.
because
Okay.
I only like last week. Last week or something, we formally sign in and do every process and stuff. So
Okay.
so I did ask all my lab student, right, to make sure, let me know that the schedule and time. So I think he just set with his course because he was like deciding or whatever the courses or all the policy that he needs to know, right? So I think this week probably settle down. So that's why I asked him to, and that's why I email you with that. I
Okay.
think starting from this week. So we will work on the time that we can actually meet up and then talk about what he's gonna do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Professor
Okay. You're
Angela.
welcome. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye. Morning.
Bye.
Bye.